Let's bring Coach Phil Martelli back onto the show. Coach, great to have you back. It seems like you're busier now than when you were on the sidelines.
Yeah, probably less stressful, but I am trying to stay active as the season winds down. I want to get back into the speaking and connections with the community as much as I can. Uh, I was unnerved. May, June, July, and August were unnerving because I didn't have my calendar and I didn't have something on each day, or as I often have had multiple things on each day. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Well, before we get to all the stuff that you are doing and the good stuff that you're doing, I wanted to go back in time because there's a new book out this week
Oh,
called The Soaring Season about your 2003 2014. How
that's
exciting is that to relive those moments and how much do you treasure your time at St. Joe's?
the book is chilling, and I don't mean in a macabre way. It's just the memories and each paragraph, and I've started it twice. I got through three chapters the first time and said, you know what, some of these things I don't remember. I should make note of these. And then I went back and started again, and it probably got through six chapters. And uh, there are times when you laugh, there are times when you cry. Uh, what Aaron Bracey has done is he's told this story with the backdrop of basketball, but he's told it from everybody's perspective. So your perspective of that team and that season is different than the person who maybe sat two rows from you in the old field house, or were somebody that was on that team, or somebody that was an opponent. The stories are just uh, it's so well written, so well researched, and as I said yesterday on my podcast, I'm hoping that this summer, when you walk the beaches from Atlantic City to Cape May, you see that on everybody's blanket, everybody's chair, because it's worth it. And you do not have to be a basketball fan. You do not have to be a St. Joseph's fan. You do not have to be a relative of Phil Martelli or Aaron Bracey or Jameer Nelson or Delonte West. There are life lessons in there that we can all benefit from. So thanks to Aaron for all that he did, and thanks for remembering what was and probably is the right word, is still one of the greatest teams ever to play in Philadelphia.
You talk about the memories and you talk about thanking Aaron Bracey, and that kind of leads into the next question because you've used so many different slogans in your coaching career, and now you're with the power of thank you. And so, talk about that because you got an email from somebody that really made a difference when you talked about it with them. Talk about the power of thank you for people.
Well, I think thank you is the most powerful statement in the English language. And the reason it's the most powerful is because we all own it. So a second grader has the same power as a truck driver on 95. And the CEO uh, of any Delaware Valley corporation has the same power as a principal. And we as sports fanatics, which labels a lot of Philadelphia area people, but um, we all have that power. So does Bryce Harper have that power, or Saquon Barkley. The power, and we put it in our pocket, and we mean to use it, but oftentimes the world moves so quickly that we forget to use it. And I am just a huge believer that none of us have gotten here alone, and none of us will get where we're going alone. So take a time to turn around and say thank you. And what you will do is you will spread it. When you when you go to thank somebody, look them in the eye, because the eyes tell you what's in the heart, and then step back because they're going to go thank somebody. So for school children, I would ask them very directly, did you thank the bus driver when he dropped you off today, or mom and dad when they made your lunch, or when they brought something that you forgot to school, or they got you to your seven activities after school? Take time to thank every single player in every single sport. Before you leave a practice field, a court, an auditorium, turn around and thank the person that's in charge because they care about you and they've given you their time. Uh, I am the story that you mentioned that when I went to Michigan, one of the things that preceded me there was this idea that I like public speaking. And I do like it, but I like the power of public speaking, not the mail it in kind of public speaking. Nobody ever asked me. For 5 years, they didn't ask me. My last weeks there, a, a nursing group came to me and a professor came to me. And I spoke in the professor's class the day before I was leaving Michigan. The moving truck was coming, the whole bit. And I told the story of thank you, which is very personal. Um, my grade school coach had fallen into a coma, and I had never thanked him. I never thanked him for not what I ended up doing for a living. That's not that important, but who I was shaped by those coaches, by my family, and I told a story about not having the courage to go to the hospital and say thank you, and I was begging those students, those college age students, thank the person that has put them in that seat at a prestigious school like the University of Michigan. And a young girl did. She called her parents that night and thanked them for paying her tuition. In the middle of the night, she sent me an email with it embedded in there of her thanking her parents on FaceTime or Zoom. I'm not sure how she did it. And to this day, I can't tell that story without filling up and I hope that she knows how appreciative I am for her sharing that. Because so many times we just keep going in life. And for her to to lift me up. And I know the message and I know the power of thank you. I will never walk away from it, no matter where I speak and no matter what group. There are no titles or there are no W-2s or there are no cars that people drive that are going to walk me away from. This is the most powerful thing I can share with people.
Coach, you
Use
mentioned
it
that,
today and then use it tomorrow and then use it the next day.
Coach, you mentioned that none of us get here alone. The work that you do with Coaches versus Cancer. And I know that you deflect a lot of times, and the last time we talked to you, how important you are to that cause. But we're going to say thank you. And we have seen the work that Coaches versus Cancer does, and nobody gets through life without being affected by it. How important is this cause for you, and how can people help?
Well, to me, getting in the position that I got into in Philadelphia and being a head college basketball coach in this town, I recognized the fact that I had to coach my teams and I had to recruit my future teams. But I also realized that to be a voice and a face for your school was really important and it was invaluable to the next person and to the next person. So when I got involved in Coaches versus Cancer, it was with the idea of allowing one person, one family to have one more day of a better quality of life. And when we dove in, and it was Fran Dunphy and I, when we dove in to recognize Philadelphia and how much they wanted to join us, and not just because we had a platform, but because we had a passion. I really wholeheartedly believe the American Cancer Society is phenomenal because they're in the business of putting themselves out of work. Because if we can solve cancer, then they're all out of work. And that's an extraordinarily selfless way to go about your daily routine. We haven't done enough, and we will continue to do enough. And I appreciate you mentioning it, but again, it was not alone. Without corporate Delaware Valley, without the people that go in their pocket and buy a ticket to the breakfast, which is coming up March 17th, without the people coming to sponsor the gala, or the school kids who raise three and four and five and $600. Their money is going to make a difference. We're going to find that cure. We're going to crush cancer. And I wholeheartedly believe that it will be happening because of the efforts of all of these miniature heroes that we have all over the Delaware Valley and all over the United States, uh, chasing this villain. And cancer is a is a villain. So um, I'm not done. I appreciate with this breakfast, John Griffin coming to me and saying, "Hey, I think that the alumni coaches in Philadelphia can do more and should do more, and this is an effort. It's not to minimize the current coaches, but it is to lift this whole subculture that we have in Philadelphia. Um, I'm honored to be a part of the pursuit of crushing cancer."
And that team that you've been a part of has been one of the most successful coaches versus cancer programs in the nation. So you don't have to take credit on your own, but working with all those community partners, you guys have raised more than $21 million since 1996. That doesn't happen by itself. And whether it's you're making a difference effort, whether it's you talking about the power of a coach's voice and the voices that people have, or the efforts that you do, the leadership you're showing is clearly paying off.
Well, I appreciate that. And I just go to this idea. No one signs up. There's not somebody in a doctor's office uh, today saying, you know what, let me try that cancer thing. No, cancer is a bully. It does not discriminate. And we cannot discriminate in attacking it. So it's every community, it's every age group. And we have basketball as like this backdrop that kind of lifts us all up. But how about the baseball efforts that are going to take place? The coach at Frankfurt, a male with breast cancer, and how did he answer his defeat of it? He putting on a baseball tournament. There are baseball tournaments in South Jersey. There are. It's extraordinary in the field, in the world of sport, how many people are rallying behind the idea of not beating cancer but crushing cancer. I'm honored to be on that team, and I will give every ounce of my time, talent, and treasures to make sure that no family hears tomorrow what we know families are hearing today. Your loved one has cancer. Here's the plan. Let's go. Let's crush it. Let's live in a world that is cancer free.
Coach, if you have a couple more minutes, we wanted to talk to you a little bit about the state of basketball. Obviously, we can't do it all in
Yeah.
5 minutes.
That would be a long show.
Considering all the changes. But you talked about how your calendar isn't as full as it used to be as a coach. What is it like now with the portal, with NIL for a coach as far as time and stress, as opposed to, let's just take your 2003, 2014? How has the game changed just for the coach?
I'm going to flip and say, anybody that coaches basketball um, recognizes that it's different. What is similar, though, is at Villanova, at LaSalle, at St. Joe's, at Pencrest High School, at Roman Catholic, at St. Mary Magdalene CYO. At 3:30 this afternoon, they're all gonna wear sneakers to work. And then at 6:30, then you're deciding, how am I going to go about this? Am I going to be a fundraiser? Am I going to be a talent acquisition manager? Am I going to have to be a salary cap expert? Those are the challenges. Now, it's a challenge. It's not a problem. It's a challenge in that it is different. Um, but if we boil it back or boil it down to, you're still coaching young people and you want to instill in them a love of a game that has hooked you. No one coaches without love of the game in their heart. Fran Dunphy's not at LaSalle without love of the game in his heart. And the idea, the healthy ego that I can make this young man a little bit better and I can make his situation a little bit better. With all of the other, we are now in a situation where coaching, you have to take on the CEO responsibility. You can't do all of these things. You can't raise all the money. You can't make all the deals. You can't pay attention to the portal. You have to have a CEO approach to it, that you're at the top of the umbrella and that we're all going to pursue what's very best for the young people first, then for our team, then for our university. I think that for a long time it was like what's best for our university, and now it's flipped. It's now what's best for the people involved in the game, players, then it's what's best for your program, then it's what's best for your university. uh, I see it as a challenge. I do think that sometimes we're overplaying this, right? We are overplaying it, and we need to get back to the joy of the game. Like all of us in the Philadelphia area, we should be celebrating this monumental year that Eric Dixon is having. He's having a year unlike many in Big Five history. And yet today I read an article about, well, he should be doing that because this is how much money he's making. That doesn't feel right to me. Uh, and I feel for the game and I feel for the profession, uh, because we've had to adapt almost on the fly. Transfer portal, and then there was no second year sit out. Uh, COVID year, additional year, guys playing, and also the look, call it what they you can pretend and people can pretend and call it NIL. It's pay for play. It's flat out pay for play. And now with the House settlement coming this July, we're going to remove all those like misnomers that it's NIL and it's just profiting on name, image, and likeness. No, they're going to start getting paid for play uh, officially this summer. So I do think you can run a program built on trust. I do think that being aware of it, of the transactions as opposed to the transformations that you're a part of, um, it's different. Doesn't mean it's better. Doesn't mean it's worse. It's just different.
It seems like it's led to a wide open tournament field this year. I mean, if I were to go out
Well,
and ask
yeah, it's
people,
interesting. I'm trying to process that when people are asking me that question. And again, I defer. I'm really interested in the Bryant Bulldogs, making sure that they can win the America East and get in that bracket because my son's the head coach there. I'd love to see Penn State make a run in a postseason. They're not going to make the Big Ten tournament, but hopefully they can play in the postseason.
you got a rooting interest with a son there too, right? As an
Yes,
assistant
my
coach?
son's assistant coach there,
There
and
you
and
go.
so I'm excited about that, and I am just going off of conversations that I've had. I've not studied Auburn. I've not studied uh, Duke until I saw them last night, and then I saw Houston after that, and they look different. But anybody out there that wants to really watch really, really, really interesting basketball, keep your eye on Maryland. They only play five guys, but they all average double figures. They play a fascinating style, and I'm going to be uh, watching them very closely. And then I keep my eye on Michigan. The two young men that stayed, Nomari Burnett and Will Cheddar, are terrific to watch. And then one of my closest friends is Tom Izzo, so I'm watching that. And then on the flip side, I gotta keep an eye on Gino Auriemma. We worked together at Bishop Kenrick, and we've been friends for 50 years. And uh, he might be sitting on team number 12 to win the national championship up there in Stores.
Well, you just mentioned Gino Auriemma, and the two of you are headlining this year's recipients of the Joe Lapchek Award, Character Award. Congratulations.
Thank you
And
very
we
much.
wanted to end the interview. We could spend hours with you,
You
but
don't have
we want
hours for us.
you don't have hours. Um, but we also wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about your most recent campaign, the Make a Difference campaign, and just tell us a little bit about that and how we
Yeah,
could help.
it was dear friend Steve Mountain. Uh, I met with him probably May 1st or 2nd or 3rd when I just came back from Michigan. I told him what I wanted to do. I wanted to go out. I wanted to do school district talks. I wanted to do corporate talks. I wanted to dabble in television. I didn't know what I didn't know at that time. And he kind of guided me and brought me in and said, I want you to come up with, tell me what you're going to to speak about at Unionville High School, or what are you going to do at Devon Prep? Those were just examples. So I left and came back and said, Steve, what I want to do is make a difference. I want to go in and I want to give a talk to a corporation in Philadelphia, and I want one person there to take on that role of a coach. And I want one seventh grader at Haverford Middle School to recognize that the power of thank you. So it started with the idea of doing talks. Um, the podcast came about. My nephew approached me. He was walking away from TV and said, "I think there's something there." What I didn't want to do, and I hate to use the negative first, but I didn't want it to be a coach's podcast. I wanted to reach out and talk to political scientists. Uh, on my wish list is Sister Mary Scullion. I want people who are truly making a difference in the community, um, and that's been the goal. When TV came along, and I saw the rhythm of the TV, uh, the young lady that I work with in booking talks. So let's just take a pause. I don't want to schedule something and then have to turn around and say, hey, I can't make that. So we're going to pick that back up in the spring, early summer, and then late summer. Um, but it's in the words. I want to make a difference. I want one person in those audiences to take one thing that I say and say, you know what, that that does apply to me. Like, words matter. Your words matter. And I give an example of where I really ruined a relationship with a former player with my words, and it's me. It was on me at the time. I didn't realize it, but now as I sit back and think, you know what, I was wrong there. So I think that your words matter. Real relationship building is important. Being organized uh, in all that you're doing. I I talk about. I have stories built around these themes that apply to every CEO. They apply to every teacher's assistant in any school, and they really do apply. It's tougher for younger kids under ninth grade to get it, but schools can be touched. I'm just. And the other thing that I'm really enjoying is the power of planning in all of these opportunities. When I was at St. Joseph's, I would try to do as many things as I could in one day where I thought I was helping. Now, what I've done is slowed down to say, let me really zero in on this one and make it not good, make it great. So people will get a chuckle out of one of the places that I'm going this week is I'm speaking to a board of officials, basketball officials, on Thursday night in in uh, in Bucks County. So We're mending fences. Coaches and officials
There
are
you
mending
go.
fences.
You're bringing people together. Look, you were
That's
making
it.
you were making a
World peace
difference.
is possible.
Yes, you were making a difference long before you had a program that officially talked about it. So,
Thank you.
for more information on the 27th Coaches versus Cancer Philly Tourney Tip-Off Breakfast on March 17th, you can go to phillycvc.org. Coach, we're just going to say thank you again. Thank you for joining us and giving our listeners something that can think about to make a difference themselves.
And I thank you for including me. And if there's anybody out there, you don't have to look hard to find me. I'm around, and I don't even know all these links and things like that. But anything I can do for anybody is a way of thanking all that they've done for my family and I during my career. So thank you guys for including me.
We wish you
Thank
the
you.
best of luck, Coach.
Thank you.